Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martyn Warwick. We're here at the inauguration of Intel's Mobile Edge Computing Lab and Innovation Centre in Bath in Somerset, and I'm talking with Rupert Baines, Chief Marketing Officer with Real Wireless. Rupert, thanks for talking to us.
Good afternoon.
I think, well, if we didn't meet before, you certainly have come across Decisive Media and TelecomTV before in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
So welcome back. And I'd like to begin by asking you this: what does Real Wireless do?
We're a expert advisory firm, anything to do with wireless. So that can be from spectrum, regulation, business case, economics, through into very deep technology. And we work for both the industry, so operators and regulators, as well as for people who use wireless in the course of their business.
Okay, now let's talk about MEC, Mobile Edge Computing. You know and I know, having been in this job a year or two, that there's always this tension, always this tidal pull between the edge and the core, the edge and the core, the edge and the core. Back and forth it goes over history. We've seen it's a sort of permanent tension, a state of permanent tension that goes on. And it was core, then it was out to the edge of the network, and then it's been back, and then it's cloud, and now we're seeing this going way, way, way with MEC, going way out to actually to the radio edge of the network, you know, the farthest galaxies, as it were. What kind of an impact is this going to have?
It's going to change a lot. I think it's very attractive. There's a lot of benefits to both the cloud architecture and the edge compute architecture we've been hearing about today. They enable a lot of new potential opportunities, a lot of new business models for operators, new products for vendors, new things to think about and worry about for regulators. At the moment, I don't think anyone's quite got their head around what those opportunities are going to be, or necessarily what the optimal balance between centralising and edgeizing.
Edgeizing, I like
edgeizing. You heard it here first.
I did, and I shall use it. Edgeizing. I was going to say things are running in tandem, but not, because there are four. We have cloud, we have SDN, we have NFV, all based, of course, on cloud architecture and the easy availability of cloud. And now we've got MEC, which again has come almost from nowhere. NFV burst onto the scene 18 months ago and is already changing the world. MEC seems to have the potential to do the same thing, but it is not necessarily a new technology, but it's a new way of looking at things and a new way of managing the network. Yeah? When you're starting off something new like this, it's a brand new ecosystem that's not been seen before, and it's starting to grow. How do you see it developing?
I think the lovely thing about both NFV and about MEC, because we have to use some acronyms, don't we?
Of course.
Is it's the ITisation of telecoms. So in both cases, it's because you're using IP, because you're using standard architectures, it's very easy for software developers, for third parties, to design new applications, to layer those applications on, to integrate them with the network. And it's that really is the transformative opportunity.
Now, you mentioned you think that some of the players who are willy-nilly maybe involved in MEC at the moment don't really appreciate quite what an immense change it's going to bring to everything. What do you think that change is going to be? Why is it going to be so enormous? And what will happen to those that don't appreciate quite how big it is?
The third question is the easiest to answer, isn't it? Yeah. Nice softball. The people who get it wrong and don't appreciate it are going to be in a world of hurt.
Right.
I think an analogy is, let's look at what happened in the smartphone space. The intelligence going out to the smartphone, the ability to install third-party apps, changed that industry utterly. It destroyed Nokia, it enabled Apple, Google came from nowhere with Android, and it was all because there was that open architecture, that app-based world. And really what we're talking about here, with both of those trends, NFV and edge compute, is the same capability. We can have apps, we can have third-party software developers, we can change the capabilities of equipment in ways that the developer of that equipment doesn't know about or care about.
Right, and that's obviously a massive change. Now, you mentioned Nokia. Glad that you did, because of course Intel and Nokia have been in partnership for decades, and they're partnering on this. So although Nokia has gone in terms of its handsets and everything else, as far as networks are concerned, Nokia is still a major player. And what we're seeing more and more of at the moment is that collaboration, those partnerships between companies that only a few years ago would not have been talking to each other. They wouldn't have been open with it. They wouldn't have opened anything up to one another because they were one-stop shops. Remember, they all, come to us, we will do everything. Doesn't apply anymore. What kind of a change has that impacted on the industry, do you think?
I think we're 2/3 of the way through the transition you outlined. I mean, if you think about it, 50 years ago, AT&T ran the network, they made their own equipment, and for heaven's sake, they invented the transistor.
And they grew their own telegraph poles.
No operator today does anything approaching that. They focus on their business and they buy equipment from vendors who focus on theirs, who in turn partner with people like Intel or other component suppliers in order to deliver better products. And it is that keyword is partnership. Standard products, open APIs, IP everywhere are the enablers of that transition.
What do you think, and this is a really overarching question, but what do you think the end effect of NFV, SDN, cloud and MEC is going to be? What kind of a global impact is it going to have?
We're going to see more wireless, more bandwidth, more capacity, more services to more consumers than we can ever imagine. And that's got to be good. It's going to make life tough for some of the people, the suppliers who don't keep up with that. But at the end of the day, it's serving the consumer is what it's all about. And we can already see, there's OECD statistics about how mobile penetration drives GDP. If you look at the situation in Africa with things like M-Pesa, those new applications, when I'm talking about transformative, they're changing lives, they're saving lives, and I think we're only partway through that. We are going to see so much more mobile-enabled, mobile-driven economies.
We're certainly living in exciting times. I've never seen change happening quite as quickly as this in the telecom space ever. We shall watch it with interest. Rupert Baines, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martyn.